The Senate Armed Services Committee held a hearing on President Trump's deployment of the National Guard to cities across the country. This came just weeks after 2 members of the National Guard were shot in Washington, D.C. just the day before Thanksgiving. So to start off the conversation, why did you think there was this need for the hearing?
Well, I'm the person who made sure that hearing happened. I thought it was long overdue. Look, our heroes serve with honor, and they show up every single day to do the mission despite the risk. That's why it's so important that we make darn sure that the mission is the right one, that it is clear, effective, and that it serves our national security, not one single man's political agenda. And so I, about a month ago before Thanksgiving, said that I would not support passage of the defense budget unless the majority, in this case, Senator Thune and Senator Wicker, agreed to have this hearing. And I'm pleased that we finally got it done last week. And our hearing made it clear the cost of Trump's domestic deployments is too high a price on our service members, too high a price for our civil rights. It's too high a price for public trust in our military. And it's costing taxpayers at least $340 million so far.
Some Republicans have a different view. They find that, or have defended rather, the deployment of the National Guard. I want to read something that Senator Roger Wicker said. He said these strategic deployments are not only appropriate, but essential. Current crime rates in our largest cities have become a substantial burden on local and federal law enforcement agencies. Increasingly, these agencies are unable to keep our communities safe. They are underfunded and stretched thin, unable to reinstitute law and order on their own. What do you make of that argument?
Well, if you would take the $340 million that they are spending on these National Guard deployments and just hire police officers, they could have hired 9,000 police officers. And in this case, they were sending in Chicago, they sent Texas National Guard to Chicago. If they wanted to fight high crime, they should have gone to Dallas, Texas, that has a higher crime rate than Chicago does. So let's be clear what they're doing here. They're trying to normalize having uniformed troops on the streets of our cities. And in the hearing, they would not, the Trump administration would not rule out that they would use National Guard at the polling stations next year. So let's be clear what they're doing here. They're trying to intimidate the American people. They're trying to normalize having uniformed troops on the streets of our cities. And they plan on doing more than just the job that they're doing right now under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, which is to protect federal property. They want these troops to do law enforcement functions, which is in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act.
And when you hear that price tag, right, $340 million, that's a lot. I work at Forbes, and even from Forbes' standard, that's a lot of money. So when your Republican colleagues heard that, even in private conversations, I mean, what were those conversations like?
They just chose to ignore it. They covered their eyes, they covered their ears, they covered their mouths, and they're so afraid of Donald Trump that they're not willing to criticize him. But frankly, I love our military too much. I cherished every day that I woke up and called myself a soldier. And so we need to not abuse our uniformed military. They signed up to do a job, to protect and defend America, not to turn their weapons and to intimidate against fellow Americans and not to intimidate fellow Americans. And if we really want to fight crime, then you would have not diverted funds from law enforcement functions. The Trump administration has diverted over $800 million from law enforcement grants. It did everything to support programs for violence prevention, to support programs to protect children, to support programs to help police hire more police officers. $800 million they diverted from those programs, and then they go spend $340 million on putting National Guards on the streets to do things in D.C., such as mulch and pull weeds. That's what the National Guard are doing here.
I do not